Yeah.
Howdy do, buckaroos. How the heck are you? Here we are live at the Beer Whisperer Pub. Here I am outside, as you can see. I'm on the Beer Whisperer Pub patio. Hey, I am joined by Red Rooster, and I think he's got some guests with him, maybe. So, hey, Red, tell me where you are, what you're drinking, and if you got anybody with you that wants to talk.
Okay, Tom. Hello. I'm here at a tasting with Chuck, Ray, Joe, and his lovely fiance Carmen. So there's four of us here. We're at a little beer tasting.
Well, hi, Chuck, Ray, Joe, and Carmen. How the heck are you?
We're doing all right. Who you
I'm a,
got?
I'm, a, I'm a little jealous, I must admit. I wish I was there.
Come on down.
So, what
Come
are you
on
guys
down.
drinking? What are y'all sampling right at the moment?
We're doing an American Expedition from Heritage Brewing. Mainly what we're doing tonight is we have a lot of Virginia beers because I collect Virginia cans, and
Nice.
so we have Virginia, Maine, and DC concentration, but there are a few other things in here. So we've gone through, I don't know, what do we got, about 30, 40 cans here that we've already gone
Wow.
tasting, and we got a bunch more to go. But
And y'all can still stand?
well, we just did little samples of each one, and some of them are good, so we go back and revisit those. But
There you go.
how about you? What are you drinking?
Well, I just opened the Southern Prohibition Devil's Harvest APA. Have you guys had that one?
I do know Southern.
I haven't had that. How about you guys?
I have had Southern Prohibition. It is a great brewery.
Yeah, 5.8%, 60 IBUs. It really is a fine APA. I gotta tell you, it's a personal favorite.
It's an American Pale Ale, so is it fairly well balanced? What are the IBUs on that again?
60, 5.8, 60. I mean, balance is kind of relative these days. Yeah, as far
Yeah.
as as far as what's available today, as far as what we're currently calling an APA, it's fairly balanced. I mean,
Yeah,
10 years ago, it would be unbalanced.
I'm with you on that on the current definition of an APA, but my personal preferences would be a little bit less IBUs on a pale ale.
Tom, that's Chuck you're talking to. So why don't you just continue?
Hey, Chuck, how the heck are you, man? See, I've never talked to you on here before, so I didn't recognize the voice.
I
I,
know, I know.
I should have recognized, the intelligent sounds.
It's good.
If we get past the head.
Yeah,
It goes away.
we've had a few tonight, and we've had some from pretty high IBUs all the way down to we've had some Gozas, we've had some really high,
One
yeah.
Imperial Stout.
Yeah, one Imperial Stout and
Browns.
brown.
Dunkels, all sorts of beers, Tom. Mostly IPA, though. A lot of pale ales, a lot of IPAs.
Sour.
Nice, very nice.
A couple Pilsners.
Porter.
A porter from Denver with graham crackers in it. So a pretty good variety of beers.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, I took a walk earlier today. A home brew shop opened up about 15 minutes from my house, so I walked up there today, and they're doing some. They actually have a beer by the glass license, so you can order a beer while you're walking around, and the shop is set up where you can actually brew beer right there. So I was up there talking to the guys, and I'm looking at brewing a beer next week.
Oh, cool. You're going to go back into homebrewing a little bit, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll be easy because it'll be all there. There's no muss, no fuss. So I'm trying to figure out. I want to do something that's easy drinking, but I want it to be a little different, kind of have my own flair to it. So I was looking at some recipes, gonna tweak it up a little bit.
Nice, nice. Well, right now I'm drinking a beer from a brewery in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's called Young Veterans Brewing Company. It's owned by a bunch of veterans, and this is the Semper Fi IPA, or Semper Fi IPA. So pretty well balanced, good malt, good hoppiness, good bitterness. So it's most of their beers are all military themed because these guys are all veterans. So that's a very good one. So I'm working on that one now. I'm probably on my probably 25th or 26th sample. So bear with me, Tom.
I gotcha.
With us all, yeah.
So
Yes,
so
Brett?
do any of you have a personal favorite that you've tasted this evening?
Go ahead, Chuck. You can tell. What's your favorite?
All right. There's some that are pretty close, but Rising Tides Goza I liked very much. That's probably my favorite.
That's from Maine, right?
That's from Maine.
Okay.
There was the Vales,
Yeah.
which is a new brewery down in Richmond, Virginia. It's Sleeping Forever, and it's an imperial stout, and it's very potent and it's viscous. It's 13%. I can actually look at it, and to me, when I'm looking at it in my glass, it almost looks like there's a little layer of alcohol floating on the top. But it's a very nice beer from them. We've had a number of their IPAs, and they all taste very similar. There was a Dunkels that I liked very much, which was a collaboration.
Yeah, tell them about the collaboration from DC Bro, what they're doing, Chuck, real quick.
All right, I'm gonna let John. I'm gonna send Red Rooster back to you, or Douglas.
Well, I don't know about the collab. Can someone explain this?
They did them for their anniversary.
Oh, all right. There's a
collaboration.
Tom. There's a brewery in Washington D.C. called DC Bro.
Mhm.
Have I ever sent you something from them or no?
I can't remember. I'm thinking Eric might have brought one from him.
Okay, if not, we'll get some out to you. But they just celebrated their 5th anniversary. So what they did for their 5th anniversary was they collaborated with, was it 5 different breweries in the DC metro area, Virginia? Did you do one with Maryland too?
No,
or-
it was all over.
all over the country, and they've done like 5 different beer styles. Cigar City was one, right?
And I think Sun King was one.
Yeah, Sun King. So they did it with a
Okay.
number of different breweries all over the country and a couple different beer styles. So one we're drinking right now is called Zen von Zen, and it is a Dunkel, which is a German dark lager, and it's a phenomenal example. It's really, really well done, very authentic. And they did that one with Port City, which is a brewery in Alexandria, Virginia. So they really knocked it out of the ballpark with this one. You would think you're drinking a Dunkel from Germany.
It's nice to see the beers like the Dunkel come back. I mean, I'm familiar with a few Saddleback out of Springdale, Arkansas, Urban Chestnut out of St. Louis are both specializing in German styles. Do any of you anticipate German styles becoming trendy again?
I hope we can only hope, Tom. We can only hope. I'm heading to Germany on the 1st of June for a couple of weeks, and I used to go annually, and I'm much looking forward to it because I think I'm not an IPA fan. I like them okay. You know, I can drink them. Some of them are, if it's hop juice for the sake of hop juice, I don't like it. But I think at some point there's going to be some palate fatigue. There's got to be, and all the newbies and the beer geeks and all that are such hot and heavy with the IPAs. I think at some point they're going to come around and maybe learn to appreciate some of the subtleties of a good lager.
Yeah, I agree, and I've talked about that palate fatigue as well. I mean, at some point, I mean, how much of that can you just keep drinking over and over again?
I agree. You know, there's a lot of the IPAs and double IPAs we've had tonight are so similar, and a lot of them have been very, very grapefruity, and we've had a couple that they've actually added grapefruit juice too, but they're very, very similar. And you know, after a while, it's like, you know, do I want to have any more of this? You know, I like malt. I like a good balance. I like malt. You know, I like pretty much any style of beer. I can drink IPAs.
Especially free.
There's some that I don't like that much anymore in certain styles. I used to like Hefes years and years ago, but I don't like that bubblegummy cloviness. And some saisons can lend themselves to that end of it, and I don't like those. But I can drink pretty much everything else. But I don't seek out IPAs anymore because of there's just that palate fatigue, I think.
Well, and all of them are brewed very similar these days. I mean, everything's got Mosaic or Citra in it, and they all have that same tropical fruit salad feel to them at some point. They're all extremely similar.
They are.
That's right. So Tom,
Hey, Chuck, let me ask you, hold on, let me ask Chuck a quick question. While he's going to Germany, I wonder if he plans on visiting the Urban Chestnut Brewery in Bavaria that they opened up.
I don't know that we're going to get there. We are going to get to Mars, which is doing collaboration this year with Sierra Nevada. They're going to do the Oktoberfest beer. And I know that Mars is also, I saw an interview with the owner. I've been to Mars many times. It's in Bamberg. And it's a great little brewery. It's one of the 9 in Bamberg that I love Bamberg. It's one of my favorite places on earth to go. And I've been there many times. But we're going there. And they also did a deal with Stone and Stone's Brewing in Berlin. We're not going to be up north, but I don't know that we're going to make it to Urban Chestnut or not. But we are going to be visiting some breweries that have done some newer German styles or American styles in Germany. A couple of years ago, I was there. I was in Nuremberg, and I went to a beer festival, and it was in the moat. They held it in the moat of the old castle in Nuremberg, and there was 40 German breweries, and I walked around, was drinking the beers, and I ran across no less than 3 IPAs there, which is very telling for what's going on, around the world. Everybody's embracing American styles to survive. But I don't know about Urban Chestnut. Do you know where it is in Bavaria?
No, that I don't know. I just know they opened one up there. I have no idea where it's at.
We're going to be in Franconia mostly. I'm going to probably hit about 40 or 50 breweries on this trip. Usually I can manage about 50 breweries. I'm going to be over there for 12 days, and I'll be hitting a lot of places that I've hit before, but there's going to be a lot of new ones. When I prefer to go to Franconia, which is the northern region of Bavaria. They're their own state, and they don't like to be called Bavarians. They like to be called Franconians. And everybody's very familiar with the blue and white checked shirts and stuff that you see, and all the banners during Oktoberfest that are blue and white. Well, the Franconians have red and white, and they're very adamant about that. They are Franconians, not Bavarians, even though they are a state in Bavaria. But there's 300 breweries in Franconia.
Holy cow.
And there's a lot of really wonderful breweries, small little town breweries, and there's some very well-known ones, of course, all the ones in Bamberg. So it's if you go and you base yourself in Bamberg, you can hit 9 breweries. Or there's actually 10 really in Bamberg, and you can walk to all of those. There's a brewing museum, and then there's also beer gardens up on top of the hills, and you can look down over the city. But within 10 mile radius, there's another 30 breweries that you can go to. And then again, in Franconia, there's 300 breweries. So
that's crazy. Wow.
It's just a fun place to go and visit. And if you get down to Forsheim, they have the Kellerwald, which is open this time of year. Well, as soon as the weather gets nice, and there's 24 different beer gardens up on this mountain. It's a granite mountain, and you go up outside of Forsheim, and these 24 breweries used to cellar their beer there, so they call it the Kellerwald because they have caves. They've cut them all into this granite mountain, and you can go down into the caves, and of course, they were lagering their beers, and they're cold if you walk down into them. But if you go there in the summertime, it's like beer Disneyland. You walk through this forest. It's like a park, and it's forest, and it's just from beer garden to beer garden to beer garden, and every brewery has a little bar and set up, and it's outside and park-like, and so I'm much looking forward to spending some time there. It's been a number of years since I've been down there to visit the Kellerwald.
That sounds incredible.
It's fun. It's fun. Everybody should go to Germany. Everybody should go to England. England has the most incredible beers. The real ale. I'm a life member of CAMRA. I've been going to England I've probably been there 50 times and over a long period of time. And I really love the real ales. But when you get to Germany and you drink some of the lagers and the precision beers, and they're well made and just crafted, they're subtle. And same with English beers, the bitters and stuff. Some of them aren't necessarily over the top like a lot of the beer geeks in America like, but they're just exquisite. And that's why I truly believe, when you were asking about the palate fatigue, I truly believe that at some point, it may be a few years away, but I think a lot of the young people that are drinking now, that are into the IPAs and the high IBUs and stuff, I think at some point they'll make the transition and they'll come around. I think I've seen it happen a lot of times to a lot of people over the years. I've been doing this for 40 years. And I think you come around. It's a cycle, and you come around, and then you can appreciate some of the subtler styles and the beauty of some of those beers.
Does it make you crazy? Does it make you scratch your head when you hear some of the pretentious, mostly younger craft beer drinkers say things like, "Well, I don't like lagers"? Does it just
It
Does it
does.
make you think that they just don't understand?
It is. I think it is that they don't have enough exposure, or if the exposure they had was maybe to some of the mega swill
It's
breweries.
gotta be cold to be good.
You know, but I think it is just a lack of exposure, because if some of those people were to travel and go to some of the other countries, Belgium or Germany, or and visit some of the smaller breweries and some of the little towns and just sit down and enjoy, and you're not necessarily getting kicked in the face, which I think a lot of them are used to now. But I mean, it does frustrate me that a lot of people don't appreciate lagers. It just does.
Yeah, it does make me crazy too, especially when I hear younger guys who, you see folks 25 to 30 that think they've tried everything and they haven't even scratched the surface. I mean, I'm almost 51 and I know I haven't even scratched the surface. And I've been drinking beer for 30 years.
Now, I've been doing it for a long time, for 40 years. I basically traced my beginnings back to the summer of '76. Although I drank a lot of different beers before that, but what really opened my eyes was a visit in early June of 1976. I went to the Brickskeller, the famous Brickskeller in D.C., and at that point they had 500 different beers. And so I skipped the next night. I went one night, I skipped the next night, and then every night that summer, every other night that summer, I went down to the Brickskeller, and then for many years, every weekend night, Friday night and Saturday night, I would go down there when I was in college and all. And I've met a lot of friends through the Brickskeller and all, and they were innovators, and they were some of the first people to do beer dinners and beer tastings, and they introduced Michael Jackson to the United States, and we were just in the right place at the right time. Plus, there was always a curiosity about beer, so you traveled around, and everywhere you went, you looked for it. And I remember the times when we didn't have a lot of options in the United States. We had to drink imports.
Mhm.
There were a few things that were a little bit different, like maybe Yangling Porter at the time, or Pryor Double Dark. We would drive up. I live in the Washington D.C. area. We would drive up to St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, and visit the Straub Brewery to get things that were just had a little bit of flavor,
Mhm.
But it's a different world now.
It is. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing what's available now. So you've got a generation of folks now that grow up with this great big selection, and they don't understand that at one time, there were very few selections on the show.
Yeah, 40 brewing companies at one point in the late '70s. We were down to 40 brewing companies. There was, some of them owned multiple breweries, but it was basically 40 companies at that point in the United States.
And then we're growing.
So, it's
And we're almost kind of getting back to where we were, before Prohibition. I mean, there's a lot of craft breweries that are growing and they're getting large, but there's a lot of small neighborhood craft breweries that really aren't trying to be any larger than being in that neighborhood.
That's very, very true. I visited one last week that they opened 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, and then they ran out of beer the first day because they're so small, and they had to postpone for a week, and so then they opened up last week. But I visited them before they opened as well. They're in Reston, which is a kind of an organized community, and it was a sociological experiment back in the '60s, and so they opened up, and they kind of modeled themselves on a British pub, and they want to be the local pub, and they're going to only be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they're a two-barrel system, and they don't they have no room to expand in the space they're in. They just want to brew and be open those days and service their local community. They want it to be kind of a local hangout with like a British pub. You go to your local, and that's what their intent is. And they physically cannot expand, any larger than what they are. Their space is maxed out. And I think they were a little startled when they first opened up, because they had lines from the moment they opened up at 8 in the morning till after 11 that night, and they ran out of beer.
It's great to see that kind of enthusiasm, though, for a small brewery, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I was real happy for them, and I visited them, and I was talking to the owners the other day, and they were happy with it too. And we'll see if they can live with that model forever. I know where they're located. I know their community, and Reston is a pretty tight community, and I don't know if they're gonna, I mean, obviously they're limited with what they can do, but I can see at some point there may be a demand that they actually expand a little bit, even though they're not really prepared to. And we have some contract
Nice.
breweries in our area that are set up just to brew for, contract on a contract basis. They're state of the art facilities here, and I could see, a brewery like theirs maybe reaching a point where they're going to have a couple beers brewed over at the local contract brewery to put in because the demand is higher than I think they expected.
Nice. Well, guys, if you could see me, you could tell I'm running out of light. I went outside to talk here, so and I want to let you guys get back to your tasting. But do any of you have any whatever final words, anything you'd like to say about your tasting, or just craft beer in general?
No, just that we're having a good time, Tom. Thanks for dropping in real quick, and we're continuing to finish up with the samples that we got here. I do have one question for you though. I'm sampling
Yeah.
a beer right now. It's DC Brau Pils. So, what do you think of this? I guess I guess in the craft beer world, it's new that everyone's jumping on pilsners, but you and I know that pilsners have been around for a very long time. So, what's your take on all of a sudden this this interest in pilsners now all of a sudden? What's your take on that? And you being in the state, you're in Missouri, you're in Springfield, but you've the breweries out there, brew a lot of lagers. And what do you think about all this new interest in pilsners?
Well, I mean, the three breweries that I have right here in town, Mother's doesn't brew a Pilsner. Springfield Brewing Company did brew a Pilsner up until 2 years ago, and then they discontinued it. But White River brews a Pilsner, but it's not a typical Pilsner. It's a little larger. Some might even consider it an Imperial. It runs between 7 to 8%. So the three breweries I have aren't on that bandwagon yet. But like you, I am seeing a lot of. I kind of like it. It's kind of like that conversation we had a few minutes ago about folks not understanding lagers. I think the Pilsner is a great beer if it's done right. I think so many people have had, they equate that macro beer with the Pilsner. And once you've had a real honest to good done absolutely right Pilsner, I mean Urban Chestnut, for instance, oh my gosh, what they're doing over there is amazing. If you haven't one done right, it's just one of the best beers on the planet.
Yeah, Tom, tell us a little bit more about Urban Chestnut.
Urban Chestnut is about I think they started right at the tail end of 2011. So they've been around just about 5 years. They started with a small location in Midtown St. Louis, and then about 2 years ago they opened a location in the Grove section of St. Louis. And it's basically set up. What they've tried to do with that location is sort of emulate a German beer garden. It's a very long bar. And then a very open area with just long tables where everybody just kind of sits together. It's just great. They do some solid styles, but they do a lot of stuff at the brewery that you can only get at the brewery. They do a lot of deconstructed stuff. They do a lot of single malt, single hop stuff. It's where you can kind of see how things come about. And Urban Chestnut is about subtlety. They're not going pound for pound hops with anybody. They're not trying to do crazy IPAs. They're about balance, and they're about doing a solid beer, but not necessarily anything way over the top.
So, go ahead, Ray.
Have you been to the brewery and met the brewer and the owner?
Yes. Well, I've met Florian, who is the head brewer and part owner, and he is a great guy. And the sales manager, one of the sales managers, John Shine, and I have become good friends over the years. And they're just one of those breweries that I love. They do a lot for charity. My son, we lost our son to leukemia 3 years ago, and last year we had a meeting with his Pedal the Cause team there at Urban Chestnut, and they hosted us and picked up the tab for all of us. Now, they didn't tell us they were going to do it. They waited till the end of the night and then just said we got it. Now, it's just a great brewery, great people, and I just have to support a brewery like that.
I've known, this is Rainer. I've known Florian for quite a few years, and the brewer was out in our area years ago at Gordon Beers.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
So
well, I'm not telling you about the folks out there that you don't already know.
Next time you go in there, ask for Jason and tell him Ray sent you in there and give me my hard time for me.
I will do that. Yeah, I haven't been there yet this year. I need to make a trip to St. Louis. I usually make several trips during the year, but I haven't had a chance to go this year. But yeah, they're just great people out there. I just love the brewery.
One more question for you. You live in Springfield?
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Do you know a guy named Greg Lenahan?
Oh, no, I do not.
Okay. He always goes down to Obed's and Isaac's.
Okay.
He knows everybody there, and I come out to see him quite often, and I've been to all the breweries in Springfield.
Okay, so you're familiar with Mothers and White River and Springfield Brewing Company?
Yes.
Very nice. Well, if you ever get back this way again, I mean, give me a call and I'll meet you somewhere.
All right.
We'll set you up.
And
Sounds
if
good,
you-
Tom.
If you guys ever get a chance, also visit Piney River. It's not really near anything. It's about 2 hours out of St. Louis. It's about 2 hours out of Springfield. But they're a small brewery that's getting large as well. So hey, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Wow, and thanks for letting me in on your tasting tonight. It's nice to meet you all. And you all have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your beers.
All right. Good night, Tom.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right.